I never thought I'd be making a video like this, but here I am, because I'm kind of tired of hearing the same thing regurgitated again and again, and I feel like no one's really looking at this as deeply as they should. It's just sheep following the popular opinion. Now, of course, I am in the minority, and I never wanted to be in a position like this, because I'm making a video in which I'm defending $1 billion company about why it's justified to pay the amount you do for their products. And it's like, that's the last thing I want to do. As much as I love Nintendo, Zelda, everything in between, I'm not someone who's just a shill. I'm not someone who just wants to support a company blindlessly. Hell, I'm the first to speak about something if I don't like about, you know, a feature or some decision Nintendo made in regards to anything, you know, Zelda, all that jazz. I'll say it how it is. That's how I am. That's how I've always been, and that's how I'll always be. So me coming with this stance, it definitely is just my logical reasoning behind it. And hell, if you don't want to support Nintendo, don't. No one's telling you to. I think we should come into this debate with one thing. Gaming isn't a necessity, it's a luxury. And I think if you remember that, then you won't really feel that entitled when it comes to this kind of mindset people have where they feel like legit, this is like Nintendo, the eggs have went up, you know what, screw egg, the Switch 2 prices went up. What am we supposed to do? How are we supposed to feed our children? How do we get by? Guys, it's literally a gaming console. You don't have to play it. You know, it's really as simple as that. But okay, that's obviously not, that's not the debate I'm here to bring on. Oh, you can't buy it, don't play it. Obviously, that's not what I'm trying to get at here. I'm just trying to, let's get some reasoning behind this whole mindset. So of course, people are upset about both the Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart World's pricing. Let's start off with the Switch 2. Now, the Switch 2, granted, it is the most expensive Nintendo has ever charged us for a console out the get-go. Like, on release, it's gonna be $450 to $500 if you buy the bundled version. Okay, fair enough, but now let's ask ourselves a question that we couldn't definitively say yes to up until now. And that is Nintendo giving us something that is a current gen, that makes sense, that can compete with current gaming standards outside of Nintendo? Yes. Can we say that was the case for Nintendo's previous generations? No, right? The Wii U was inferior, underpowered compared to the PS4 and the whatever Xbox we had at that time, Xbox One, I believe. And same goes for way back on the Wii. That came out when HD was becoming a standard in gaming consoles. We had the PS3 and we had the Xbox 360, and those were in HD, at least at the time. We don't really look at 720 as HD, but 1080. You get my point. They were superior. They were literally a evolution on, you know, what gaming consoles were becoming. They were literally moving forward. Nintendo gave us a dinky little Wiimote and was like, it's in 480p. Too bad. We're not doing HD. We're saving that for the Wii U. And yeah, from there on out, Nintendo has always been behind the current console generation. And because of that, we expected prices for those consoles by Nintendo to be cheaper, right? Because why would they compete with Xbox and PlayStation hardware when they're literally inferior, right? Okay, well, now with the Switch 2, we're getting things like 4K HDR, all the bells and whistles that compete with current gen hardware, and now Nintendo wants to charge us for around the same price their other competitors do. And now it's a problem. Like, do people not understand that you're finally getting what they wanted? People are like, oh, I will never touch the Switch. It's so bad, it can't even do in 4K, you know, my PC does that, the Xbox or whatever does that. Well, okay, Nintendo's now giving you that, so shouldn't you expect to pay as much as you would pay for those kind of consoles, right? I don't know how that's, I feel like no one's really picking up on that logic, because it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, Nintendo is finally giving us something that is of standard, is not lacking behind. Hell, when the Switch 1 came out, it was literally lacking completely in terms of even being a portable kind of console. It was weaker than current flagship smartphones at the time. Now we're getting something that is genuinely impressive. Hell, the Steam Deck that is around the same price point as a Nintendo Switch 2, of course, it is inferior in every regard. The Steam Deck can only output in 720p, or rather 800, but it's still the same resolution width-wise. It's genuinely, literally so much lower quality than anything I guess the Switch 2, when you play it on handheld, it will actually be 1080p though. It's not going to be 4K, but still, the Steam Deck is inferior in that regard. When it comes to refresh rate, the Nintendo Switch, the actual Switch 2 will have 120 hertz, so like literally also inferior in that regard. It will be able to play games literally the Steam Deck can play. Hell, let's be real, I feel like the Steam Deck has a huge misconception. People think, oh, I have a Steam Deck, I can play every Steam game. No, you can't. You only can play games optimized for it, and there's not that many that are optimized for it. Like, thank God Elden Ring is, but now I'm gonna be able to play Elden Ring on the Switch 2 in way better quality, way better performance, I hope so, because it will be optimized for it, and both on the go and on the big screen, having it go into 4K seamlessly just like that. Yeah, I can see that the Switch 2 is also probably a better idea than the Steam Deck currently. I mean, if we ever get a Steam Deck 2, then maybe that's another story, but you know we're never gonna get a Steam Deck 3 because Valve and, you know, the whole curse of 3, they'll Half-Life 3, Portal 3, we're never getting any 3s. We're not getting a Steam Deck 3, you know. Maybe we'll get a Switch 2 or a Switch 3 before we get a, you know, Steam Deck 3, but that's a whole discussion for another time. I don't know why I felt like pointing that out. But anyways, my point is, yeah, now the Nintendo Switch 2 is literally on par with all sorts of modern hardware, and now they're asking us for that price point. So it does make a little sense for, yeah, you to be willing to pay that much. I don't know, at least for me, it makes sense. I bought a Steam Deck, so I have no right to complain about the Switch 2's pricing, knowing that the Switch 2 is gonna offer me more value than the Steam Deck. And I really don't understand how so many people, even online influencers who praise the Steam Deck, are hating on the Switch 2, because it's like, bro, you're getting the same specs, but now it's exclusive to Nintendo with all the other third parties they're gonna still be adding, so you're still gonna be able to play Steam games, or games that were only available portably on the Steam, now on the Switch 2, like Elden Ring, which I'm so excited for. So I don't really get it. Like, I guess, again, Nintendo fans aren't used to paying premium console price for Nintendo stuff, because again, Nintendo has always been behind, but now we're finally there. Nintendo's up there with everything else, and you get so much more when you really think about literally the Switch 2 compared to any other modern handheld device that is currently on the market. The Switch 2 seems like the best bang for your buck. It's gonna be the next gen Nintendo home console that you can take with you portably, the Joy-Cons, everything about it. I feel like, yeah, it's literally a no-brainer. I don't have to try to prove to you how much better the Switch 2 will be than the Steam Deck. Again, who knows about the Steam Deck 2, but currently it will be better. And currently Valve is still charging you $400 for the base model. So I mean, you can't argue, oh, well, the Steam Deck is older and the Switch 2 is a newer piece of hardware. Well, they still want the same amount of money, so that's not a good argument either. So again, I don't really get it. Literally, when I saw the pricing, I'm like, that's fair. I was literally worried it was gonna be upwards of 500. And this is coming from someone, I know someone's gonna say, oh, you can argue this, you can say that because you're someone who does YouTube for a living. You probably, you know, don't know what it's like. You probably make so much money. Dude, I don't. And I know what it's like, and I do feel bad with every game I buy. I want to make sure it's worth it. I always ask myself, will I get value out of it? Is this worth maybe me missing out on certain luxurious things that I could have enjoyed elsewhere in regards to, like, you know, having this game instead, and that would make up for it. You know, like those who, let's say, eat out once a week or go do something, maybe don't do it that week. Maybe save that little extra $20 that you are too greedy to spend on, like, Mario Kart 8 and put it there, because you know what, with Mario Kart World, my bad. But yeah, because with Mario Kart World, you might get way more value. You know, that 6 hours you spent at a club or at a bar or at something, or, you know, getting McDonald's or whatever it may be, you're gonna get way more hours of value through paying the extra additional cash you would pay for on a game like Mario Kart World, right? I don't know. For me, at least, that's the logic I have behind it, and it makes sense that, okay, if a game, especially a premium game like Mario Kart World, is going to be a little bit more expensive than the norm, then, you know, I'm willing to pay the extra price because I know the value I'm going to get out of it. I know I can get actual hundreds of hours out of it. You go to a movie, you're paying 10 to 20 bucks for that ticket. You're getting 3 hours tops of that, you know, movie to enjoy. Like, we're not looking at how much gaming has changed overall. Like, gaming, again, is a luxury, so regardless, it's not something you are owed. Nintendo does not owe you Mario Kart World. You don't need it. It's something you want, you don't need, okay? So remember that, okay? But on top of it, it's a completely different standard than any other Mario Kart we've gotten. Think about it. Back in the day, and this is without adjusting for inflation whatsoever, Mario Kart 64, it was $60, if not more, and again, without adjusting for inflation. So it was $60 back then. $60 back then would have cost you probably closer to $100 now, at least if you adjust for inflation. So with that mindset, Nintendo now charging us $20 more for a game that, again, has so much more content than a game like Mario Kart 64. I guess you can, you know, always argue, well, technology has changed. Well, okay, but their standards didn't have to change. Nintendo still sold us games like Mario Kart Strikers, a new one for $60 that was bare bones, and they still want full price, and that, I'll call out Nintendo, that is greedy by them, 100%. But are we really gonna argue about Mario Kart World? Like, I feel weird even defending Nintendo on this decision, but it's like, bruh, it's Mario Kart. I think it's okay. Like, it'll be fine. It's not, this is a game that you will get your money's worth out of. I can assure you that. If you like Mario Kart, it's gonna be worth the $80. I can assure you, because again, if you were happy paying for a game like Double Dash, like Mario Kart 64, if you're old enough, Super Mario Kart, and Super Mario Kart was even more expensive, and again, inflation has changed it even more, so like, that game was probably $80 on release. Imagine it now. But my point is, yeah, if you happily paid for that for 4 Grand Prix Cups, a finite amount of characters that don't amount at all to what we're getting in Mario Kart World, and that's it. There's no other game mode, there's no other thing going on, and you were completely happy with just that as the base game, $60, then why are you upset about paying an extra $20 for so much more? This game looks like the Mario Kart Forza of games. We're gonna be able to drive in a giant world all interconnected with a day and night cycle, people online. It looks insane. I don't wanna say MMO, I've said that before on Twitter, but like, it's just because I don't have enough characters and I'm not freaking paying for Twitter Blue or X Plus or whatever. Like, screw that. I'm not gonna pay for that. So I'd rather like literally try to I'll rewrite a tweet like 3-4 times to try to fit in as many characters, because that's something that's not worth paying for. Mario Kart World, though, that's worth paying for. I wouldn't buy Twitter Blue. Again, I put my foot down when it comes to something I genuinely don't see as, you know, the value in it, but like, I see so much value in a game like Mario Kart. I mean, look at Mario Kart 8. That was a game that came out on the Wii U, and then we were in the era of Nintendo giving us 8 cups. Oh, Nintendo was so gracious. 8 cups per game now, you know. For Mario Kart 7, we also had that with the retro cups and all of that. But yeah, we got 8 cups, but then Nintendo charged us DLC for the additional cups. And yeah, they re-released it on the Switch, and people are gonna make the argument, well, the Switch version is $60 and you got, what's it called? 8 cups plus more cups, and then we ended up getting the DLC if you were subscribed. Well, again, that was a re-release. So remember, it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was Nintendo literally cash grabbing the same game and reselling it because they didn't want to give us a new game for the Switch console. And now it's been, what, literally a decade, pretty much a decade since Mario Kart Wii came out. Way more than a decade now, actually, since Mario Kart 8 came out. Sorry for the Mario Kart jumble, but we're saying a lot of different Mario Karts. But yeah, since Mario Kart 8 came out, and now we're finally getting a new Mario Kart, I think, and seeing all the new changes, all the new upgrades. Again, characters have outfits, they have completely new modes, they have so many new items that it's like, literally, before we would just expect Mario Kart to be the same thing, but just, you know, optimized, upgraded for the current gen hardware. Nintendo is really going out there and trying to give us something completely new, and it literally feels like already Mario Kart with DLC added to it, all packaged in one. And Nintendo, just like they did with Tears of the Kingdom, are like, okay, well, this game is beyond premium. It's bigger than any kind of version that we've given you, so we're gonna charge you DLC price on top of it, just like they did with Tears of the Kingdom. I'll be honest, Tears of the Kingdom was worth every penny for $70 because you literally got way more content than you did in Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild was $60. Yeah, it was rehashed, and yeah, you could look at it as just a $70 DLC, whatever you want to see, but like if you've never played Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom is worth every freaking penny if that's your first, you know, Zelda game that you played on the Switch or something. So yeah, to us jaded folk who played Breath of the Wild beforehand, it may have felt like somewhat of a letdown, but it was still beyond ambitious, so much more content. I'm sure the development time and money spent into it made them think that maybe it's worth the cost. Again, if this was a different game, not like Mario Kart, especially if, let's say if it was just another Mario Kart 8, now it's Mario Kart 9 with not much going on outside of literally all the standard things we have in Mario Kart, but no new innovation, then I would be with you. I would be on the bandwagon of drop the price. But like, again, this Mario Kart looks genuinely way more improved than any other Mario Kart we've ever received before. I'm not gonna cheapen out on $20 just because I'm upset. And you could argue the fact that, okay, well, it's setting a precedent, other game companies will follow. Well, yeah, that does suck. And that you could be upset about, but it's not gonna change the fact that this Mario Kart might be worth the $80. In my eyes, I'm sold. I think it's worth it. And yeah, you could look at me as a Nintendo drone, but I'm not really that kind of person in terms of like, I'm not necessarily like someone who would just spend money on each and every Nintendo game. I do put my foot down when I do think Nintendo is cheaply trying to get a quick buck out of me. Like, I haven't bought any of the Wii U ports, not New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe Edition, Luigi or whatever, what's it called? Pretty much all of the Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Switch. I'm not buying any of those. I'm not falling for it. I don't just buy Nintendo games to buy them. Trust me, if you know me, you know that like genuinely I'm willing to look at it from like an outsider's perspective. I'm not just kind of the fanboy who anything Nintendo does, it's amazing. You know, I hate people like that to begin with, so I would never want to be that. But like, I do think that this is kind of unwarranted hate and literally people just being so dramatic over nothing. Because let's be real, I bet you most people who are spamming drop the price, they're buying Mario Kart day one. They're still gonna buy it. They're gonna be glazing Nintendo, obsessing over all the new features and characters and everything when it comes out. You'll literally mark my words, you will see these people are 100% just doing it for quick online attention. And to me, it's just, yeah, kind of pathetic to see, because it's like literally people have no actual morals. They have no true opinions. They literally follow what's trending. And especially seeing influencers, again, influencers who literally praise the Steam Deck to no end, but just because it's Nintendo, just because everyone else is saying, oh, this is a bad idea, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, bro. Like, if anything, I feel like that is where you truly see who's an influencer and who's just someone who bandwagons. If you're willing to actually state your opinion and give a logical reason behind it and not just say, oh, it's too much. It's like, bro, like, were you even, like, give me a genuine reason and why you think so. Because like 100%, if you were to like, let's be real, if we were to look at everyone's purchases on games, there's no way you didn't spend over $100 on a game. Whether you have to pay DLC, whether they're microtransactions, if you're a video game consumer and you buy games regularly, you probably spent around that much before. It's definitely just literally hating to hate. I mean, there are literally people hating on the Nintendo Switch 2 box there because there's too much red. Like, okay, like literally Metroid Prime 4 Beyond's box art, it has like for the Switch 2, it has like additional information. Bro, I didn't know you bought the game just to stare at the box. Don't you buy it to play the game? Are you really this upset about box art now? Like, box art? I don't know, man. I really don't get it. But yeah, I don't know. I just want to make this video because I genuinely want to hear your guys' opinions. If you do have a reason behind it and you genuinely see that there's an issue, then please tell me, because I do understand that there's all sorts of points of views, and every time I feel like I make an absolute statement, I really feel grounded on something, I can always get a comment that will open my eyes and give me a completely different perspective and will make me look at things completely differently than I did. But at least so far, I haven't really seen any arguments that have really got me thinking otherwise, so I would love for this video to be that video that proves me wrong. Please let me know what you think. I'm not a shill. I'm not someone who blindly supports Nintendo, so don't use that as an excuse in the comments. Genuinely tell me why you think it might not be worth it, when again, all of the things that I stated, it is genuinely way more improved. And as for the Switch 2, it is genuinely competing with current gen hardware. So if you are not upset about buying, if you own a PS5, if you own a Pro, if you own a Steam Deck, if you own any of those, how do you not justify the Nintendo Switch 2's price tag? I would love, genuinely, I would love to know. So please let me know. This OTR 100% is just to open up a discussion, get other people's opinions, because to me, I just think this is so overblown. I don't really care though. I'll be honest, I think it's funny Nintendo's getting this hate. I think any soulless corporation should have wake-up calls. So like, go for it, have fun, you know, rant all you want. I don't really care. In the grand scheme of things, I just want to kind of, again, for people who ask me genuinely all the time, I want to put out this video, kind of lay my opinion out there, my thought process, and just see what other people think about. But in reality, I'm not going to be upset if you call out Nintendo, if you boycott Nintendo. Bro, if I died tomorrow, Nintendo wouldn't give a shit, so who cares? You know what I'm saying? All of us, literally, if any of us, literally, anything happened to us, why would Nintendo care? They're literally just trying to make money, right? They're not gonna, you know, nothing's gonna happen. If you stop buying Nintendo today, they don't care, right? They're just looking at how much money they can make off of consumers. That's all they care about. And sure, I'm sure certain game developers, certain people at Nintendo genuinely do care about the fans, but at the end of the day, it's still a corporation, it's still soulless, it still will never be relatable, it will still just be maximizing on making money and nothing more. So in reality, I'm not trying to defend Nintendo, I'm trying to defend the logic behind it. But I don't give a shit if you buy it or not. That doesn't affect me at all. So please don't come at me with that route, because that's not the case. So anyways, just wanted to make this video. Hopefully you actually watched it all the way through. I feel like people always like to leave their comments before actually watching the entire video. But I'm gonna end it here, not to, you know, drag it on any longer, and hopefully I made my point. If I have to kind of reiterate it one more time, maybe with a little bit more structure, because this was an OTR, I'm literally going off the cuff, so I do apologize, especially for mistaking the Mario Karts back and forth, just kind of ranting. So hopefully you guys enjoy it for what it is. At least I enjoy making them, because again, you know, it's just straight from the soul, just kind of saying how it is. So if you do enjoy this kind of video, please leave a like. Let me know if there's any other video you'd like to see me rant about, as I do enjoy making these videos as stated. But that about does it for this video. I've been ZM, and I'll see you all in the next one.